around 9 o'clock. And I'll just be honest with you, Mr. Cole, I represent a lot of people that work for the federal government, Robins Air Force Base, Moody Air Force Base, USDA, I could go down the list. And I was very excited about coming back to Washington, D.C. to vote to open the government back up. And then when I saw what the Senate did last night, I'll be honest, I had a hard night. And I've been struggling with what the right vote is because of what the Senate did. And I want to just tell you, because I want the American citizens to be able to read it. You can start at page 217 of the legislation where it says requiring Senate notification for disclosure of Senate data. And there's a lot of with respect to's and other things in the first pages. But when you get over to page 223, you'll see where they've created a private cause of action, specifically for them. And it goes on and it says that cause of action, and this is on page 224, any senator whose Senate data or the Senate data of whose Senate office has been acquired, subpoenaed, searched, accessed, or disclosed in violation of this section may bring a civil action against the United States if the violation was committed by an officer, employee, or agent of the United States or of any federal department of agent or agency. Relief. If the senator prevails on a claim under this subsection, the court shall, not may, shall award for each instance of a violation of this section the greater of, not the lesser of, the greater of statutory damages of $500,000 or the amount of actual damages, reasonable attorney fees, cost of litigation, and it goes on from there. Now, there's other language in here, waiver of sovereign immunity, no qualified immunity, and there's other language in here too that indicates that each line would be an additional payment. And so most of us as members have a campaign phone, a campaign email, a personal phone, a personal email, and then a business phone and a business email. That's 6 violations the way they count them. If they went for all of them, 6. Minimum of $500,000 apiece. Now, I don't think, and I've been asking questions on this since last night, and I'm going to tell you, I don't think that Senate leadership shared with the leadership of the House what they were doing. Now, I want the Democrats to know this. My understanding is that Chuck Schumer was very much aware and signed off on this particular language as well. So just, y'all might want to ask questions about that. I'm just telling the truth on this. Is as soon as I found out about it, I started asking questions. But they're saying, well, the executive branch shouldn't be checking up on the legislative branch. Well, there's some truth to that. There's a lot of truth to it. I believe in the separation of powers. And they talk about it being good governance. The thing that I can't get past, though, and this is, again, I mean, for the American citizens, if you go to page 227 of the bill, limited retroactive applicability. In general, the amendments made by this section shall apply to any acquisition, subpoena, search, accessing, disclosure of Senate data as defined in Section 10A of the Legislative Branch Appropriations Act of 2005, and to any failure to disclose such an acquisition, subpoena, search, accessing, or disclosure occurring on or after January 1 of 2022. So it's given them the ability to retroactively go back. We know, you literally know who, at least, we may not know all of them, but we at least know the list of some of them. In this paragraph, the term violation section 10 is the meaning given to the violation section. It goes on from there. But there's also language in there where it indicates that each account is a separate payment. Now, this language did not go through any committee markup. This language was not shared with the House of Representatives prior to it being put in the bill. And I personally agree that it should be removed. The problem is if we remove it, the Senate, it has to go back to the Senate. And then you're right back to where you were 40 days ago, where all of a sudden you're trying to get a piece of legislation out of the Senate. And so, I mean, I've struggled. I want you to know that, Mr. Cole. I want the American citizen. I've struggled with what the right course of action here is, because what they did is wrong. This should not be in this piece of legislation. And they can say it's about good governance all they want to. When they made it retroactive, then all of a sudden it was no longer about good governance. There's actually a list of people that know they will get paid as soon as this thing is signed. At least they've got the coupon where all they have to do is go file at the courthouse and get paid. And I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do. My gut is, because of the way this place is so dysfunctional now, that the right thing to do is to get the government cut on as soon as possible and make sure that the American citizens are watching what those senators do and hold them to account for what they did. And at the same time, the House put legislation out that actually reverses what the Senate has done. They should vote on this in the light of day. If they think this is the right thing to do, then they should have a committee meeting and a straight up or down vote on it. Don't hold my people who work in my district at Robins Air Force Base paycheck any longer than it's already been held. And so I want you to know, Mr. Cole, you're our chair. I respect you tremendously, as much as I respect anybody in this House, and as much, I mean, I can take everybody I ever met. I have tremendous respect for you. You are a man of integrity and honesty, and when you tell me you didn't know, I trust you. And when Mike Johnson, when I'm asking questions about it at 9 o'clock last night, I don't think our side knows. I think the Dems and the Republicans in the Senate knew, though. I do. I want you to know that. And but this is, I mean, American citizens just need to read it, and they can figure it out for themselves. It's not that hard. It's big letters. It starts on 217. It ends on 228. It won't take you 10 minutes to read it, and you really can pretty much start where the private cause of action is discussed. But that would never pass if that was a standalone piece of legislation, and it is clearly authorizing an Appropriations Act.
Would the gentleman yield?
I'll be happy to yield to Mr. Roy.
Yeah, I just want to add that I share the concerns of the gentleman from Georgia. I do not think that this provision should have been inserted. It certainly shouldn't have been inserted at the 11th hour without deliberation and back and forth. I do believe the gentleman's correct. There were Democrats and Republicans involved with it. But I think there's going to be a lot of people, if they look and understand this, are going to see it as self-serving, self-dealing kind of stuff, and I don't think that's right. And I understand, I think some of the motivations were to try to target a DOJ that I think was fairly obviously abusing its authority and targeting United States senators, separation of powers concerns, all the things. We can debate all that, but we think it was pretty egregious, so I have no problem with the prospect of going after and trying to empower, even through private right of action, a way to go, because we do it in other contexts, consent decrees and other things, but the retroactive, potential to have dollars going to United States senators, when we've got American citizens, whether it was J6ers, whether it was people from the FACE Act, whether it was others that have also had the full force of the federal government through the Department of Justice targeting and coming down on them, and they're going to see, oh, but you can slide in a provision in here for United States senators? Like, it is beside my comprehension that this got put in the bill. And it's why people have such a low opinion of this town. I am torn also, the gentleman from Georgia, because we need to fund the government and we need to get this passed. And I'm trying to figure out what we can do to force the Senate's hand to say you're going to repeal this provision and fix it without amending it here to then delay the funding of government, which we want to proceed to go move forward with. But that provision needs to get fixed. And we need to find a way as a body to get it fixed as soon as possible. And I'm continuing my explore the options tonight. I yield back to the gentleman from Georgia.
Mr. Scott, would you yield?
I just want to point out it's $500,000 and the way it's written, it is a minimum of $500,000. It is per line. It is, and Ms. Ledger Hernandez, I'll give you 60 seconds, but I think it's time to move on. I just don't.
I truly appreciate your very careful consideration and review for the American people of this. As you know, I do have an amendment to strike the whole thing, and I think it would send a great message if you would actually say, I'm going to vote for this amendment.
And this is why I didn't want to get into this debate. The problem is, if we could take it out and send it to the Senate and know that the gamesmanship wasn't going to be played over there and the government would get cut back on, I'd be glad to. But the bottom line is, if we amend this bill with anything at all, we risk extending the shutdown, air traffic controllers not being paid, law enforcement not being paid, our staffs here not being paid, and that's a risk that I don't trust.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I don't trust just the Democrats. I don't trust the system to work where we could fix it with what probably a supermajority of this committee thinks should be done, and not delay the government coming back on. And with
So
that,
the other, I would only point out that it's not, if you would,